Okay, so I'm going to talk about my dog Blue. She is a Beagle Basset mix, and I'll talk a little bit about Basset Hounds and Beagles as well. So I got Blue this summer, right around the end of June, beginning of July. Her birthday is June 16th, so she turned 2 this summer. I got her from a family in Frankfort, Indiana, who had accidentally bred their male beagle with their female basset hound, and then sold all the puppies and liked the profits, so they continued breeding and got a little bit in over their heads. And they were looking to get rid of some of their dogs, and they just happened to come into the vet clinic that I worked at, so then I ended up taking Blue, and I didn't necessarily buy her. I think they said that they were selling the puppies for around $400, which I think is pretty even around what Beagles and Basset Hounds both sell for. I think usually it's between like $300 and $600. Obviously, pedigrees would raise that price, but I only paid for her vet visit that she had a couple weeks before I adopted her, and then I paid for a bag of food that they were supposed to bring me, but I ended up telling them to just skip the bag of food because I was too anxious and I didn't want them to stop at the store. I just wanted her. So I got janked out of like $20 or something, but I was fine with that. So she is 2 years and 3 months old. She is spayed. A couple of things about Beagles and Basset Hounds as far as health concerns go. You really have to watch Basset Hounds with their backs just because they're such a long dog. And also Basset Hounds tend to have a lot of obesity problems. The Basset Hound in the picture, maybe not so much. It looks pretty trim, but a lot of them that you see look like just sausages with really saggy skin. And that's really hard on that long back, just because having all that weight pulling down on them, they tend to get a lot of arthritis issues, not even so much in old age. We have a lot of Basset Hounds that come into the clinic at maybe 4 or 5 years old that are already starting to suffer from arthritis in their backs. So one of the things about Blue was when I got her, she was 36 pounds, and she was basically a sausage. So we decreased her food intake, and I started taking her on runs each day, short runs, because she couldn't run for very far. And we got her down to around 31.8 pounds. And then I said, okay, that's good. You're looking nice and trim. We'll stop the diet. And we started to increase, the number of treats we were giving her. We didn't make her run every day anymore. And then we noticed that she was still losing weight. So it was looking like maybe she had lost another 2 or 3 pounds. So I weighed her again last night, actually, and it turns out she had only lost 0.2 pounds. So what I think happened was, as she lost weight, she became a lot more active and a lot faster. As far as like when we first got her, she couldn't go up the staircase without taking a break somewhere in the middle, maybe 2 breaks. Now I can't beat her up the staircase unless she's tired before we start. So I think that the increased activity level has helped her build a lot of muscle. So she initially lost a lot of weight, but then she started gaining weight and muscle just because her activity level raised. As far as other health issues with Basset Hounds go, Basset Hounds usually tend to have a lot of skin allergy issues. They can become allergic to just a lot of things and get skin rashes and stuff. We haven't noticed any of that with Blue yet, probably because Beagles don't tend to struggle with that as much. One thing that both breeds struggle with a lot is ear infections. You see the long ears on the Basset Hound, they kind of just drag the ground a lot, and lots of times they'll pick up extra moisture from that. And Beagles, their ears aren't quite as long, but they are pretty long, and they do hold them really close to the ground. So again, like walking through the grass in the morning, they can get a lot of moisture on their ears or in their ears. And that extra moisture causes a lot of yeast infections and bacterial infections in their ears. So what I do with Blue, every week she gets her ears flushed with Triz Ultra with ketoconazole, And what that is basically the Triz Ultra is a kind of a wax dissolvent to keep the ears clean, and then the ketoconazole is an antifungal. So if a yeast infection does start, that'll kind of nip it in the bud before it starts. It's not like a Suralan or a Metamax as far as like how much antifungal properties it has, but it's just enough to kind of maintain and kill one or two yeast cells that might have started to grow in the ear. So I do that once a week with her, and so far have not had any issues with ear infections with her.
Now, is that a bottle that you made up, or can you buy it directly with
You
that
can
combo?
usually buy it from your vet. We do have special ones that we make up, especially if there's an ear infection with rods in it. Not Rod, the
No,
professor,
not me.
but rods as in bacteria that are pretty resistant to normal antibacterial ear washes. So what we do in that case is we take out however many milliliters we have to get the bottle down to 85 milliliters. So I think normally they're 118 milliliters. We take them down to 85, and then we add 5 milliliters of dexamethasone and 10 milliliters of Baytril, and that usually tends to be able to take out the more difficult ear infections with the rod bacteria in them.
Yeah, I was hoping because you can make some customized ear flushes. Have
Yeah.
you ever heard of any ear flushes with vinegar in them?
We actually have one. I think it's called Triz Edta
Okay.
is what I think it's called, but it has it smells like it has some vinegar in it. I don't think it. I haven't read the ingredients, but it definitely smells like it has vinegar in it.
Yeah, because at one time I was making up some ear flushes, and it was like 1/3 white vinegar, 1/3 90% ethanol, and then 1/3 water. There's all kinds of home remedies, but
That is pretty much exactly what Triz Edta smells like.
yeah, probably.
So, does anybody have any questions?
You ready for
about
questions?
those?
Questions about Basset? Did you say they're a scent hound? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, both beagles and bassets are scent hounds, bred for hunting small game like rabbits, squirrels, that kind of stuff. They were both developed in Europe, I believe.
I think so.
And they're both pretty old breeds as well. I guess I'll talk about food. She eats Diamond Naturals beef and rice formula. It's mostly just beef and rice. I think it's got some dried carrots and stuff mixed in there as well. But it's just a kibble food.
Okay. I guess that's perfect.